Day 10 of Operation Epic Fury. Monday, March 9th, 2026. This morning, Iran struck Bahrain's only oil refinery. Thick black smoke rose from the industrial zone at Majeure on Sitra Island. Fires burned through the morning. 32 people were wounded in the drone attack on the facility. Within hours, Bapco Energies, Bahrain's state-owned energy company and the operator of the Gulf's oldest refinery, issued a formal statement through the Bahrain news agency invoking force majeure on its group operations. The exact confirmed words were these: Bapco hereby serves notice of force majeure on its group operations which have been affected by the ongoing regional conflict in the Middle East and the recent attack on its refinery complex. The company added that local market needs are being met through existing contingency plans. Everything beyond local supply, every export contract, every international shipment obligation, every forward delivery commitment is now legally suspended. Bahrain just told the world it cannot deliver. You may be wondering what force majeure means, what Bapco is, what the strike destroyed, who else has declared it, and what all of it means for oil prices on a Monday morning when Nikkei is already down 5% and Brent is approaching $120 a barrel. Bapco, the Bahrain petroleum company, was founded in 1929. It is 90 years old and it is the oldest refinery operation in the Gulf. Its main facility sits on Sitra Island in the industrial zone at Majeure. It recently completed a major modernization and capacity expansion that brought its refining output to approximately 400,000 barrels per day, up from 267,000, adding upgraded units specifically designed to produce higher volumes of jet fuel and diesel. That modernization was completed in 2024. It took years and cost billions. As of this morning, part of it is on fire. More than 80% of Bapco's refined products and crude oil are exported globally. That 80% is what force majeure just suspended. Force majeure, from the French for superior force, is a legal doctrine embedded in commercial contracts that releases a party from its supply obligations when an extraordinary event beyond its control makes performance impossible. It is not a voluntary withdrawal from a contract. It is a formal legal notification that the conditions required to fulfill the contract no longer exist. By invoking it, Bapco is not choosing to stop shipping. It is confirming that it legally cannot ship and that its counterparties, every government, every refiner, every trading house holding a Bapco supply contract, cannot sue it for failing to deliver. The declaration is simultaneously a legal shield, an operational acknowledgement, and a global market signal. When a state oil company invokes force majeure, it is telling every buyer simultaneously, our facility has been struck, our export capacity is compromised, and this is now a matter of armed conflict rather than contract law. Bapco is not the first, it is the latest in a sequence of force majeure declarations that have been moving up the Gulf's energy supply chain since day one of Operation Epic Fury. Qatar declared force majeure on LNG shipments from Ras Laffan, the world's largest liquefied natural gas complex, after an Iranian drone struck the facility. Qatar's energy minister warned at the time that all Gulf exporters would be forced to follow suit within days and predicted oil could reach $150 a barrel. Kuwait Petroleum Corporation declared force majeure after beginning output cuts at its fields and refineries following Iranian strikes. Iraq cut oil production at its main southern oil fields by 70% to 3 million barrels per day, 3 industry sources confirmed to Reuters on Sunday. The UAE has been forced to cut output. Saudi Arabia's Sheba oil field, producing 1 million barrels per day, survived 3 confirmed Iranian strike attempts in the opening days of the war. It has not declared force majeure. It has not been struck successfully yet. The sequence of these declarations tells a specific story about Iran's targeting strategy. Iran is not striking randomly at Gulf energy infrastructure. It is executing a systematic campaign against the refining and export capacity of every Gulf state, hosting American military forces or providing active support to the US-Israel operation. Bahrain hosts the US Navy's Fifth Fleet, the entire naval command structure for the Arabian Gulf, Red Sea, Gulf of Oman, and parts of the Indian Ocean. The Fifth Fleet headquarters at Naval Support Activity Bahrain is less than 10 kilometers from the Bapco Refinery at Al Ma'amir. Bahrain intercepted 86 missiles and 148 drones, 234 total projectiles in the first 8 days of the conflict. This morning one got through to the refinery. Iran knows where the refinery is. Iran knows what it produces. Iran knows what declaring force majeure does to oil markets. The strike on Bapco this morning was not collateral damage. It was deliberate energy warfare. The market reaction on Monday morning confirms the cumulative weight of the declarations. Brent crude is approaching $120 a barrel, up from 92.69 at Friday's close and up from approximately $74 before the war began on February 28th. That is a 62% increase in oil prices in 10 days. The Nikkei 225 plunged more than 5% on Monday morning. Asian markets tumbled across the board. S&P 500, Nasdaq and Dow futures were all trading lower by more than 1% after dropping more than 2% late Sunday. South Korea, which buys 70% of its oil from the Middle East, capped fuel prices for the first time in years. Motorists in Bangladesh were photographed queuing at fuel pumps on Sunday, fearing shortages. The G7 finance ministers announced they will discuss a coordinated release of emergency oil reserves at a meeting Monday. Kepler senior oil analyst Muyu Shu confirmed what every market participant could already see. Oil prices have now gathered all the ingredients for a perfect storm. Middle East Gulf producers cutting output, the prolonged closure of the Strait of Hormuz, and growing pessimism about a quick resolution to the current situation. The confirmed Bapco force majeure this morning is the fourth Gulf energy force majeure declaration in 10 days. Qatar LNG, Kuwait oil, Iraq 70% output cut, now Bahrain refining. The four together represent a significant portion of the Gulf's export refining capacity, simultaneously suspended by the legal mechanism designed for exactly this category of event: extraordinary circumstances beyond a company's control. Armed conflict is the definition of extraordinary circumstances beyond a company's control. The Gulf's energy export architecture is not being disrupted at the margins. It is being systematically dismantled facility by facility, while the world's emergency reserves are mobilized and the world's central banks prepare for an oil shock that nobody's inflation models were calibrated for. The bottom line on the Bapco force majeure this morning is this: Bahrain's only refinery has been struck. 32 people are wounded. The fires are burning. The force majeure is confirmed and legally in effect. 80% of Bapco's export obligations are suspended. The Gulf's fourth major energy producer in 10 days cannot fulfill its contracts. Brent crude is approaching $120. The Nikkei is down 5%. The G7 is meeting to discuss emergency reserves. Qatar predicted $150 oil when it declared force majeure last week. This morning's strike on Bapco is the confirmation that the prediction was directionally accurate and may still be conservative. The war started on February 28th as a military operation against Iran's nuclear and missile infrastructure. On day 10, it is also an energy war, and the energy war is being fought one force majeure declaration at a time.